Welcome to Haunting Live Podcast, a place where we bring a new paranormal guest each episode to share their journey and experiences.
But I read people from all over the world. And so I have been reading all this time, and now I'm ghost hunting. And I'm getting to travel all over the U.S. ghost hunting on Living for the Dead. So it's been crazy. It's just a lot of paranormal stuff going on.
Visit our sponsor, the most gifted psychics. Call 866-228-2883 and mention code word HauntingLive to receive 10 minutes for just $10. 100% satisfaction guaranteed.
So my name is Logan Taylor. I am a psychic medium. I've been seeing and interacting with spirits since I was very young, but I've been doing it professionally for 10 years. I read people I'm based in a really small town in Tennessee, but I read Tennessee in America. But I read people from all over the world. And so I have been reading all this time, and now I'm ghost hunting. And I'm getting to travel all over the U.S. ghost hunting on Living for the Dead. So it's been crazy. It's just a lot of paranormal stuff going on.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had a pretty busy time lately, especially being picked for the show and being on Hulu and all that. But let's start at the very beginning. I'd like to go back to even as far as their childhood and see how you developed your abilities. So what got you into being a medium? Did you have experiences growing up, or what brought you into the field?
So it was something that ran in my family. It was something that a lot of my family had. It wasn't maybe necessarily something that was talked about all the time, but it was something that, I live in a very small religious southern town, so, you can imagine. But I had a lot of experiences that I would have premonitions as a little boy, really haunting, deep premonitions, and then they would come true about people I went to school with. Just really kind of disturbing stuff. And then I would have interactions, like imaginary friends to the umpteenth degree. I would have interactions with spirits thinking they were my little sisters. And it was, somebody who I realized wasn't there. And then on into high school, it sort of manifested in the form of anxiety, but I could still see them and sort of feel them, but I was just so anxious. And after high school, I sought refuge in a spiritual advisor, and she sort of filled me in and let me step fully into my gifts. And then I was reading professionally after that. And as a little boy, I remember one time was sitting in church, and of course, I was a little church boy, sitting in church on Sunday, probably daydreaming. But I got this little vision of a girl I went to school with, her mom passing away. And I was like, oh, I hated it. I was like, oh, I started to tear up in church, right? Go to school the next morning, and they announced, she wasn't going to be in class because her mom had passed away the night before. And it was just, really intense stuff like that. It's not something I'm that was cool. It was like, oh, my God, what's happening? It's like, so I had to kind of find the balance of not being freaked out. I'm put on the show in very intense circumstances and put in situations that I would never put myself in on a good day. Like Alex loves the ghost hunting. Some of my castmates love it. I like to read, and the ghost hunts scare me, So it's like I love it. But I guess it's been interesting because I really say I'm a skeptic. Because I may be psychic and I talk to dead people, but I know how crazy it sounds. I know the sort of the tricks and gimmicks. So I have to have experiences. So when I went on the road doing the show, I had experiences physically, but I hadn't really ever been scared. And that changed after being on Living for the Dead season 1, because I was scared the whole time. I would get my hair pulled, even stuff that didn't make the show. There's even a lot of stuff that we experienced, paranormal activity, that wasn't even in the show. There was one night at the Copper Queen where we're all chilling, like the crew and the cast. A few of the cast members were hanging in the lobby, and somebody just throws a coffee pod. And it was just all this random stuff. My hair would and so it's like I tell skeptics, do what we did.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're more when you were growing up, at least, you're more on the intuitive side of things. You would sense things and get premonitions, that kind of thing, rather
Yes.
than full on communication at that point, right?
Yeah, and it was I had the spirits around me, but it didn't feel I wasn't delivering any messages to anybody's loved ones through, but I did see a lot of premonitions as a little kid. And then, I as I got older, I remember in high school I had a friend come over and swim in my pool, and I just started channeling her mother, who I didn't know had died. We were pretty new friends at that point, but her mother came through, and we were just having fun, and she's bawling, and we're just in my swimming pool one summer, and it was after that I realized there was something to it, you know.
Also, you said you had an advisor growing up as well that sort of guided you along your path. So, did you find that helped you kind of pursue it a little bit more, to get more
Yes,
interested
and
in it?
I have to kind of plug her a little bit because, yeah, my spiritual advisor, her name's Shay Redstone. She's been in the paranormal field for 30 years. And like I said, we're in a very small southern area, but she took me under her wing, and she's seen it all in the paranormal field. She's done it all, seen it all, met everybody, you know. And so it was really good to have somebody who could kind of teach me. But how I actually got into ghost hunting is interesting because, like I said, she taught me and really prepped me on being a psychic for all those years. Well, I got into ghost hunting like 4 or 5 years ago because I got her and a group of psychic women from my town together, and I started filming them with a camera. I just followed them and I filmed them. And all these years later, I've made it into sort of like an unscripted YouTube paranormal series. And these women are out there, they're eccentric, but it's so much fun. And so yeah, she was really the catalyst to what drove me. And I was lucky, because I had that mentorship. A lot of people feel like they live in their gifts alone. The show, a lot of people have been messaging me explaining that they have felt alone all this time, and that they felt seen through the show. So that made me feel good, and made me feel, even remember how blessed I am to have had that mentorship.
Because a lot of people go through that on their own. That is so true, and they just don't know what to do with that ability that they have. Sometimes is, what do I do with it? And
Right.
you do need that guidance sometimes, either from somebody physical or even your spirit guides, if you connect with them too. So,
That's exactly right,
yeah.
because we're never alone. I tell people all the time, I've read people from all kinds of circumstances, and I read people who in this world, this physical world, are very much by themselves. And I have encouraged them because we're never alone. Our spirit guides and our angels are always there with us. Even if we don't, I'll say, I'm feeling connected to one of your ancestors who's like maybe your great grandfather. Well, I never knew him. Well, but he knows you. They, they, they don't leave us here to fight it for ourselves. Now, so that's the thing that I tell people, there's always hope. And that's what the thing, like, people think it's crazy, creepy what we do, and we offer hope, and we offer messages of healing and helping. That's makes it worth it.
Yeah, we do the same thing here. My partner and I, we do investigation work up here, and we do the same
Yeah,
thing, but we do it more on an educational level. So we try to explain things, how things work in the real world, what the energy feels like when you interact with it, and that kind of things. When we do groups or whatever, we
yeah,
try to teach people what the real paranormal is and how to deal
right.
with it. So we do that here too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the real paranormal, I love that because I always tell people who are skeptical, that doesn't, there's so much make believe, but there's so much real. There's so much to it that is unseen, that is maybe not. Sorry, my little kitty's like loving on me. She must feel the energy. I don't even know what kind she is. She's a little baby. Come here. This is Princess. She's my little baby. But I said I'd never have it. Never say never.
The paranormal can happen at any time, so that's why our Etsy store is always open. Get your paranormal items from cleansing to protection to attraction, all available now on our Etsy store. Search Haunting Live.
Everybody has a God-given intuition. Everybody, it's just our sixth sense. Everybody has that. Now, to get more in tune, you really just have to center yourself and say, "Show me." It's sort of as simple as commanding it to be. But be careful what you wish for.
What you wish
Yeah.
for. Now you're super busy on the show and your own stuff. So let's
Yeah,
talk about that a little bit next, though. How did things happen for you on the show? Like after you got into the field, you knew kind of what you were doing. How did the show happen for you?
I found out I was in the show or going to be on the show in December, and I had like a month to prep. We started filming like the last week of January, and we filmed for like 9 weeks, 8 or 9 weeks, and it was hard to be away from my family and my dogs and my people and my place, but it was like we were on an adventure. And it felt really surreal because, of course, there's our cast, but then there's like 20-person crew following you around as well. It's just a lot of adjustments. And you're going to haunted places and you're not sleeping and you're on a weird schedule. So it was a very much a life experience like no other, but it was amazing to be able to connect with so many people who really did genuinely need our help and who very obviously benefited from us being there. So it was hard. It wasn't easy. I honestly expected it to be more easy than it was. I expected it to be a lot more easy, but it was hard. But it was worth it. Um, and truthfully, it was an amazing experience, and I'm hoping and looking forward to doing it again. But it was, if anything, it was a chance for me to really settle into myself and my gifts, and I have a lot of plans. I'm planning a lot of tours. I'm going to tour around the country, do some shows, some live shows, and some galleries, basically. And I've got a lot going on. You can find me at intuitivelogan.com, by the way. If you get a wild hair, or on Instagram at Intuitive Logan. I love how I shamelessly plug myself right there, just like throwing that in there.
From there, then, so how would you got through the show? So now that's over with. So what are you doing now, day to day, after the show's over?
It's funny because after the show ended, I had to really sort of adjust back to reality and like get my mind. I'm doing a lot of readings. That hasn't stopped. I'm still doing a lot of readings. I am working on some exciting new paranormal unscripted content for my YouTube channel. I really love being on camera, of course, I guess. I guess, but I really love producing. Um, I love being behind the lens of a ghost hunt from the perspective of paranormal women. It's kind of like what we did on our show, but just in a totally different light, and I love it. So that's what I'm working on a lot, and you can see stuff about that on my website as well. I think there's a link somewhere, but the I do want to plug that YouTube. It's Southern at youtube.com/at Southern Psychic Women. Boom! There it is. Oh my gosh.
What do you do for your clients day to day? Then I know you do readings and you do sort of spiritual work, but what specifically do you do for your clients besides the readings? Do you communicate with spirit for them? Do you try to help
You
them
know,
out with spirit issues or anything like that? Or
it's mostly that. It's funny because my sort of my way of reading and what comes through shifts for me right now. I'm at a point of a lot of communication about my client, a lot of information I'm getting about their life, how to make their life better. But I do a lot of spirit. Most people come to me for communication with their angels, their lost loved ones. That's why most people come to me. But and it's something that I love to do. It's so healing, but it's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot to it, and I've promised myself coming into this big opportunity, which being on this show has been the best big opportunity. But I knew I wanted to set my own speed, set my own pace, how I wanted to work, how much I wanted to put out. I love doing things on my own terms. And thankfully, being on this show, even though I was under the Hulu umbrella, I got to be myself, and I was really grateful.
besides the show, do you have any other projects that you're planning to do? You said you want to do some galleries, some shows on your own
Yeah,
after you're
yeah,
done
just a
this,
lot of
or
paranormal stuff. I joke that, like I said, I never thought when I was in high school, of course, my little gay self watched Supernatural. I'm sure you've seen Supernatural, the TV show with the two brothers. And I'm like, be still my heart at 15 years old. But I wanted to be a ghost hunter. I'm like, oh my God. And then it's like, but of course, when you're 15 saying, I want to travel the country being a ghost hunter, it's like saying you want to be an astronaut. It's just like, it's like, but now I'm doing it. So yeah, just I have a lot going on in the way of paranormal, just a lot going on in general. So I just intuitivelogan.com, intuitive Logan on Instagram, and then Southern Psychic Women on YouTube. Obviously, I have a YouTube as well. I'm still vamping it up, but a lot of people want to see me do more readings, so that's something I'm working on. I just I'm such a low key type of person, believe it or not. I know I look very flat. You're like, I don't believe it for a second, but I'm very chill. I like my I do, and I live on a farm in the middle of a small town. I'm the on a 300-acre farm with my family, so I'm very much cozy, and I like it that way.
Yeah, it sounds relaxing there. If you can do your psychic work and you're on your own farm, you can just sit there, relax, do what you want, and
Oh, I love it. Like I said, I make my own rules, and I couldn't have it any other way. I realized that in order for me to survive and thrive, I had to do it my way. That sounds kind of silly, but it's true.
I think that's great having you on Haunting Live. I appreciate you taking your time. I know you're a super busy guy, so I just want to have you on to find out a little bit more about you, what you do, and your background, and where you came from. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Miss one of our episodes? Replay your episodes on Rhode Island Broadcasting. Show your support for Haunting Live by supporting our broadcast partner, Rhode Island Broadcasting. Find them on YouTube. The paranormal can happen at any time, so that's why our Etsy store is always open. Get your paranormal items from cleansing to protection to attraction, all available now on our Etsy store. Search Haunting Live.